Hi, everybody. It's great to be here. Great to see so many people here, and it looks like I'm going to get a sunburn while I'm up here. So really, it's great to see so many people here. It's awesome. So thanks for coming out. I kind of feel like silver right now, you know, a little disabled, right? But my doctor says I'm going to get 100% better from back surgery. Is silver going to get 100% better? So that's what I want to talk about. And we'll see how you feel about it at the end of my presentation. So it's all about silver loves me not. And that's very true right now, isn't it? So, okay, so let's talk about the urinal cake of the metals, all right? So, and I won't say anything more about that. But it's so far down that we need to talk about really what's going on with silver the metal, right? For those of you who don't know me, my dad was a gold prospector, pretty successful. He didn't work with a company, he was on his own. I started writing for Doug Casey's newsletter back in the day, been a newsletter writer for a long time, now at thegoldadvisor.com. I'll share more about that with you as we go along. First, silver loves us. She loves us. Solar demand, look at solar demand. Everybody knows solar demand needs silver, right? But look at this graph on 2010. How many countries had solar use within their country? Germany, Italy, and rest of world, that just means that it was so low, it really wasn't measurable, okay? Look at where it was last year. 2022. How many countries were officially using solar within their borders? Solar has exploded and it's going to continue to grow, and solar requires silver. It's actually a little paste that they put on it. EVs and hybrids. I think we all know EVs and hybrids use more silver than ICE vehicles, an internal combustion engine. In some cases, depending on the make and the model and that sort of thing, there's as much as 2 times more silver required to make that vehicle. So if EV use goes up, if hybrid use goes up, like the graph shows, automotive demand for silver is going to go up. It's only going one direction. We all know silver is an indispensable metal, but here's some interesting things. I got this from Mike Maloney's website, goldsilver.com. So look at number 1. Silver has more patents issued with its use than all other metals combined. Isn't that amazing? The use is not going away. In fact, there are new uses every month for silver, every month. All you got to do is subscribe to the Silver Institute's monthly letter, and you'll see in their monthly letter there are new uses listed every single month for silver, every month. But she loves us not. Silver doesn't love us because the price has gone nowhere in 3 years. There's the price over the past 3 years, pretty volatile, but at the end of 3 years, it's basically where it started. And we need to talk about this because some analysts are saying that silver is really just an industrial metal now, okay? And it is true that industrial use for silver is going to go up. It is going up. You see the bar there on the far left, that's 1980. That's the number of ounces that were used toward industry in 1980. And you can see now how many ounces go toward industry every year. And you can see there's a general uptrend there, okay? But industrial use is like this. It's sort of a slow uptrend. Jewelry use, it's like this, a slow uptrend. Silverware, religious objects. Those don't change all that much. They don't change that dramatically. What's the one missing element that I didn't bring up about silver? Investment demand, thank you. You have to account for investment demand. Investment demand is the biggest driver of the price. But she loves us still. Physical demand is strong. Look at this. This is the annual sales of American Silver Eagles at the Mint every year. I put 2023 there, and notice this is only through September. We've already exceeded what it was in 2018, 2019, 2022. So we're probably going to end up over 20 million ounces this year based on physical demand just from the US Mint, okay? Perth Mint sales, look at this. Again, annual silver sales from the Perth Mint. Look at the clear uptrend in there. 2.5 times more silver was sold last year at the Perth Mint than in 2018, just in 5 years. But she loves us not. This is silver ETP investment, exchange traded products, which is basically ETFs, right? And this is the amount of investment demand those funds have seen. Now you'll notice that it's popped really big in 2020, right? The COVID bounce. And then since then, it's really softened up. This is where funds go, institutional investors go, money managers go. They don't order eagles. They go to products like this. So it's not physical demand that necessarily drives the price. It's total investment demand. Physical demand is high now, but ETP investment is low now. But we have a supply deficit. Can you read the inset there in red? Basically, the blue lines are supply, the gray lines are demand. But look what's happened the last 3 years. Based on this projection for 2023 from Metals Focus, silver is going to be in deficit in just 3 years by a whopping 430 million ounces. By next year, silver is going to be in deficit by over 500 million ounces. So my message there is you can't have a metal that's in that much deficit without the price eventually being impacted. So far, there's been no impact on the price. Silver doesn't love us, right? It was up 3.7% last year. It feels like it was down because it was down most of the year, and mining stocks did horrible. And it's already down 5.5% this year. So it's not really been impacted yet. And there's the gold-silver ratio. It's stuck in the 80s. You can see on the left a big spike up to 123, record high, never before seen in history during the pandemic. That was a clear time to buy. I personally did buy. I bought silver twice. I loaded up on mining stocks. And then you can see the decline in the gold-silver ratio where silver's outperforming gold in the COVID bounce. Did very well then, but look, the long-term average is 55. 55 isn't even on this 3-year chart. The all-time low is 17. Now, a lot of people believe we're going to 17 again. Mike Maloney does. I don't know if we're going to go that low again or not. But look at the outperformance that we can reasonably expect from silver over gold when this thing really starts to run. Okay. Now, how many of you here last year and heard my boring boom talk? Anybody here last year and hear that? I think this is an important point to make because it solidifies what silver's DNA is, what we can reasonably expect from it. And if you look back through history of the silver price, and you look at a log chart, the percentage change, not the price chart, you'll see long periods where it does nothing. It goes nowhere. Despite being surrounded by catalysts like we are now, it doesn't do anything. And then all of a sudden, seemingly out of the blue, sometimes without a catalyst we were thinking would be the catalyst, it goes on a run and it ignites. Very, very volatile, so the spikes are very big. So what you have is you have times where the price is very boring. 1978 to 70, I'll give you just a few quick examples. Look at that, 1978, 1979, they had as many problems going on back then as we do now. One could argue that. But look at the silver price. Nowhere, no reaction. Boring, and boom. Look what the silver price did, how it reacted coming out of that boring period. It went up almost 900% in less than a year, okay? Boring, boom. Here's another example, 1986, 87. There was nothing going on with gold and silver in the 80s, okay, after the prices crashed. And there you go, boring, 86, 87. Who would buy that asset looking at that chart? Would you buy that? No, there's no reason to buy that. Boring, boring. Help me out. Boom, 86, 87. Look, it more than doubled in the 80s with really no big catalysts around. More than doubled, and that is not a misprint in 1.2 months. So basically in 5 weeks, the silver price doubled with no real catalysts around it. 90s, let's talk about the 90s. I put this one in here. I have like a bunch of examples, but I wanted to put this one in because the 90s were known as the nuclear 90s because the miners could not make any money. The prices were flat to down, and earnings were horrible. I mean, mining stocks were really ignored. It was the nuclear 90s. 96, 97, there you go. Look how down 13%. Boring, boring. Boom! Look what happened, up 60% in 6.5 months, basically. Okay, during the nuclear 90s, during one of the worst bear markets in the history of silver. One more. And this one's from the COVID thing, right? All through 2019, silver's doing okay. Then it sold off during the COVID crash, right? Boring, boring. Who would buy that? How many technical analysts here would look at that and go, oh yeah, I got to get me some of that, right? Boring, boring, boom. Silver rose 145% during the COVID bounce in 5.5 months. And some say, again, silver's an industrial metal now, right? It doesn't have the same run or the same monetary effect. I'm sorry, that's just not factually correct. During the COVID bounce, gold rose 40%, silver rose 145%. I think we can expect another period where silver not only performs well, it outperforms gold. That is a reasonable expectation based on history. Okay, there's all the spikes. I didn't show all of them, but there they are. Okay, there's all the gains of the major spikes. The average of all of those, if you average them up, is 150%, the average spike. Now, to be clear, this is not bull markets in gold and silver. These are just spikes. That's all I'm measuring, okay? So all these spikes, some of these occurred during bull markets, some occurred during bear markets. Sometimes there were 2 during bull markets. Anyway, the average gain is 150%. Some people say, well, Jeff, you know, the 70s obviously impacts that chart. You need to take the 70s out. Okay, I'll take the 70s out. It's 102.5%. So the average spike historically after the 70s for silver is a double. Now, this begs the question, how long did these spikes last? So I want you to look at the table at the right, and I'll give you $1,000 right now if you could tell me how many of these lasted longer than a year. Anybody? 13. No. 0, none of them. All the spikes I just showed you lasted 1 year or less. Again, not bull markets. It doesn't mean you would sell. I'm just saying the spike itself. Because this is what silver does. Boring, boring. Even in bull markets, it's boring, boring, and then all of a sudden it goes off. Okay? The average is 7.5 months spike, historically. That does include the 70s. Now, this begs the question, okay, Jeff, how long between those spikes? That's what we really want to know, right? Because that might hint about when we can expect the next one, all right? There they all are. So how many of these, the times between the spikes were less than a year? 0. 0. Now, there's something interesting. Look at the bottom bar. That's the average. I just averaged them all up. The average time between the spikes has been 3 years and 7 months. When was the last spike? When did the last spike end? September, 3 years ago. In September, so 3 years and a month, technically. And the average is 3 years and 7 months. Okay, some of you know David Morgan. He is known as the Silver Guru. He couldn't be here, so he has some medical issues. So I asked him, hey, is there something you'd like me to say to the audience? And he said, yes. Silver will wear you out or scare you out, coined by yours truly some time ago. It is not over yet for this underdog metal. It's too useful, too powerful, too essential, and too overlooked. definitely overlooked right now. The silver sunrise that is ahead of us, if you aren't worn out or scared out, it could make you rich. I also got this from Mike Maloney. It's in his book. I helped him write his book. There's the link at the bottom. He noticed something when he did his research, and that was, back in the 1970s, we had those big runs, right, in gold and silver. How many countries participated in that run, or were able to participate in that run at that time? North America and Western Europe. That's it. So there were far fewer people buying than today. There was also much less currency then. How much more currency has been created worldwide since the 1970s? There were also fewer investors. Many more people have an investment mindset now. They have a brokerage account now. Many people did not in the 1970s. So today, there are 10 times more people that can participate, each with 10 times more currency and at least 10 times more people with an investor mindset, meaning a brokerage account or something like that. As a result, Mike estimates there will be as much as 100,000 times more currency trying to crowd into the gold and silver market. We're not there yet because we haven't had the big crisis yet. A big monetary crisis, financial crisis, major war, whatever. That's when we'll see a big rush. So this is a very interesting point that, going back to $50 may not do it. It may have to go higher. So what does all this tell you as an investor? Silver's industrial use grows every month. Physical demand is strong. Watch for institutional investors in ETPs. If you want to look at that site, you can watch it yourself. But when they go on a run, when they start buying, that's when we are likely to see the start of something else in silver. Supply exceeds demand by 431 million ounces in the current 3-year period. Silver's DNA is boring, boring, boom. What's the message for us? We have to wait till the next boom. The average spike's 150%. The average duration 7.5 months. And I didn't show this chart, but the next bull market, as always, gold will move first and silver will just stay there. It won't do anything, right? Because gold goes first and then silver ignites. It catches up to gold and passes it on a percentage basis. I have the research on that if you want to see it. I've had 2 people actually ask this question. Is what we have in silver right now, including the stocks, silver stocks, a 100-year opportunity? Because in some ways, what's happening now, especially the last few months, is actually worse than what happened in the nuclear 90s. And until now, the nuclear 90s that was the example that we set for the worst time in the gold and silver markets. We are testing that right now. Okay, let's talk about mining stocks. I don't have a timer, so I don't know how I'm doing on time, but mining stocks are generational lows. This is my favorite topic, but there's 3 questions I think we should ask now before investing, or if you should hold, or if you should buy, or if you should sell. The 3 questions are this that we should all ask right now. First of all, what is gold doing? If gold is crashing, or gold has crashed and can't get up, or it's in a bear market, it's just down, down, down all the time, then that's a cue that maybe you want to hold off on investing in mining stocks. Okay, so has gold crashed once it hit its all-time high last year or 2 years ago? Gold's not 1,500. Gold's not 1,600. Gold's not 1,700. Okay, so the first hint we have is that gold has held up relatively well. Now, it sold off pretty hard last week, but again, it's held up relatively well. Basically, it's flat year to date. There are a lot of assets we could point out that are not flat year to date. They're down. So our first clue is positive. The second is company specific. Are the companies making material progress? Do they have the 2 C's? This is critical right now. Do they have cash and do they have catalysts? If they can't raise cash now, or they can't raise as much as they need, or financiers are backing out, whatever the case may be, if they don't have cash, and I don't mean $1 million, I mean more than that. They need 2, 3, 4 million to advance their projects, okay? If they have that, they can advance their projects. Then do they have catalysts? Do they have things they can actually drill? And I'm talking mostly about explorers now. Do they have things they can actually drill, pardon me, that are highly prospective? That's what we're looking for. Number 3, are miners undervalued or overvalued relative to gold? So many times in history, you'll see gold stocks are way overvalued relative to the gold price. Other times you'll see gold stocks are way undervalued, including silver stocks in there. Other times they'll be fairly valued. What do we have today? We have an extreme oversold undervaluation. This chart's from Crescat Capital, from Kevin Smith. The gold price is in the gold. The blue is the venture index where all juniors live. Mining stocks would have to rise 475% to match where they were in 2007. Okay, so I have a question. What happens if gold moves higher? What happens if silver takes off? What would happen to stocks then based on where we are today? It's going to be a lot more than 475%, okay? And we have record low volume. This is from my friend Aaron. He pointed this chart out. I thought, wow, this is amazing. The venture is at a 10-year, just hit a 10-year low on trading volume. Average over the last decade, 1.3 billion shares traded per month. Last September, less than 500. September as in Friday, okay? You can see just how low the volume is. So my question is, what happens when a little bit of money moves into the venture based on the low volume it's at now? What happens? Prices are going to start to rise. What if it's a lot of cash that moves into the venture? Okay, here's some top picks I have. These are stocks I own, so full disclosure there. You can see everything I own on thegoldadvisor.com. But these companies have the 2 C's, cash and catalyst. They're deeply oversold. They represent tremendous value right now if you're interested. And the projects have strong potential. First up, we got to talk about Dolly Varden Silver, right? Hold on. The graph there on the right shows their projects and all their land package and all their projects, but I want to talk about the Wolf deposit there because that's where there's been a lot of exciting drilling recently. They just had a drill report come back, 381 grams per ton silver. That's good. It's not bonanza grade, but it's good. But it was over 29 meters. How many of you silver investors know that silver veins are narrow? They usually come back over 1 meter, over 3 meters. Sometimes you get 10. Sometimes you get a half a meter, right? Or they pinch and swell. They'll be wide and then they pinch and they go down to a half meter. This one was over 29 meters. You don't see that very often out of a silver vein. This is very strong. On top of that, the second bullet point, this was a very aggressive step-out hole. It was 75 meters away from prior drilling. So it's showing that this vein is bigger and longer than they originally thought. There's going to be some exciting things, I think, coming out of Wolf. Look at the green in number 1, 130 million ounce silver equivalent resource. That resource excludes 100,000 meters of drilling and counting, plus all this year that they have yet to report on. There are going to be a lot of assay reports coming out. The stock is low, so it's a very good buy right now if you're interested. Some analysts think there's 500 million ounces here. Sean Kuhn, you can talk to him. He thinks it's a little more than that. But some analysts think there's 500 million ounces here. That would command a 1.5 billion valuation. The stock is currently at 165 million valuation. This implies, if they're right, 9, 10x on the stock. And more if Sean is right. Dolly Varden's a strong buy right now. Hercules Silver. Now, this is one that I think you should all take out your phone and punch up your brokerage account and hit buy on this, okay? Hercules Silver is the one stock that I have been buying the most of since the summer, since my surgery, basically. All summer and into the fall. Because they have a silver resource. Yeah, it's good. It's historic. They've had some good silver grades come back and from drill results. But I want you to look at the graph, and the brown or orange, whatever you want to call it, dots represent copper showings at surface. And you can see at the bottom key there how big this area is. They have so many copper showings at surface, both in channeling and soil sampling. It's huge. So you don't get this much smoke without some fire underneath, okay? So they've reported the first set of drill results. They were basically on silver. The next drill result you want to watch for is hole 5. It goes right down the middle of where this big copper porphyry they believe lies. You want to look there. And there's the quote from management. First ever deep drilling intersected a blind porphyry copper alteration across 1.2 kilometers. 1.2 kilometers since it's football season is 13 football fields laid end to end. That's how long and big this is, okay? Demonstrating the presence of a major hydrothermal system on the property. The market didn't really pay attention to this because there was no drill results reported. Just, we got an alteration underneath, you know? But based on everything we know, this could be potentially very big. So I think now that your phone is out, you're going to press buy on this stock. Okay, this is my strongest recommendation right now. Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. And look at the stock. It's outperformed maybe the stock of the decade, Snowline Gold. Snowline Gold's also in our portfolio. Snowline Gold has gone up tremendously. But right now, Hercules Silver, I think some investors are catching on. There might be something there. It's actually outperforming that. A big buy in Hercules Silver right now. Buy only on dips, though. Suma Silver, this is another big holding for me. If you follow me, you know I like this stock. I like Galen McNamara and what they're doing there. They have 2 projects, one in New Mexico. They're surgically drilling 6 holes at Muggy-One, it's called, right now. So there's going to be some interesting drill results coming out of that. If they hit there, that could be game on because it's a big step out program. But look at Hughes. This is Hughes, the one in Nevada. I've been there. You can read my site visit on my site if you want. But you see all the drilling and all the holes there and everything. But I want you to look way over to the right at the project called Sapphire. This is a huge step out. It's 2.4 miles away from previous drilling, okay? So if they report on Sapphire and you see a good hit, look out. It's going to be game on at Hughes, and this thing is going to get much, much bigger. They already have a resource on Hughes. So they're also targeting deep zones, and they were at Beaver Creek Institutional Summit a couple weeks ago. I was there, met with them. But during the conference, Suma Silver, the stock rose 30% that week. So obviously, fund managers, institutional investors, some of these investors like what they're seeing at Suma Silver. It's a major buy. Stock's depressed, you could buy it now. Top royalty pick. We just added this to our site, EMX Royalty, and they're here. You can talk to them. I really like them. We basically waited to we held off adding them to the site until they got the royalty agreement with Xinjiang all settled. It'd been going on for a while. I think it kind of held the stock back a little bit. They've resolved it. They have a giant net smelter royalty on it. It is all systems go now for EMX Royalty. Many analysts have considered this the go-to royalty stock in the industry. This is one, we always say you can't, mining stocks are not, heirlooms you can leave for your children, right? They're not. But EMX Royalty might be one of those. This is a royalty company that's going to have royalties for, it's good, they're going to outlive me. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but this is one you can just basically buy and tuck away, in my opinion. Oh, and look at the bottom there, number 4. Franco-Nevada has bought shares in EMX. How many other companies, as Franco-Nevada, the giant royalty company in the industry, how many other companies have they bought shares in? 0. The only company their company has bought shares in is EMX Royalty. And here's a new one. I just bought this. So if you follow me, this is one I just purchased myself a couple weeks ago, a first tranche. I can't promise you they'll be on the site, but we'll see. But the reason I bought it is because, first of all, this is a Rob McLeod company, and he's the one who basically, started the gold rush up in the Yukon. He's had a very successful track record. These two properties he really, really likes, so that says something. Frank Justra is an insider and a large shareholder. Frank Justra owns a lot of companies, but he rarely becomes an insider of them, where you have reporting and things like that. But he has with this company, so he obviously sees something here. Okay, so there's Can2. This is one of the charts that really kind of woke my eyes up and like, okay, I need to look closer at this. You can read through these assay results. 27 grams per ton gold, 135 grams per ton silver, a little low. 9 grams gold, 1,100 grams silver, 1.98% copper. For copper, you want to look at 0.4% and above. If you get below 0.4%, it may or may not be mineable. So you want to see above 0.4. They hit 1.9 there. And the next one, look at that, 2.48% copper. The next one, 5.8% copper. And other gold and silver grades that were very high. So this really attracted me because it's very high grade. They are drilling 2 projects right now, Can2 and Harry. Harry's actually already, it's not getting underway, it is underway. Anyway, there's going to be assay results back from both projects this month. So this is a stock that, if they hit more of things like this at depth, this could run. So it's a buy. It's undervalued right now, so you can probably just buy it, but always on dips. And then the last one is Strike Point Gold. I know one of the people that are involved with this. I'm friends with him, and he kept trying to talk me into it, and like, So finally I looked at it, and I really like what's here. First of all, guess who is the executive chairman of this company? Does anybody know? Sean Kuhn, right, I don't know who said it. That's right. Sean Kuhn of Dolly Varden Silver. He's the executive chairman of this company, so he obviously sees something here that he likes. Curate is the flagship right now, and that shows similarities to Silicon, Anglo's discovery, which is real close. Anglo has 3.4 million ounces of gold discovery. The showings here at Can2 are stronger than what Anglo Gold had when they first discovered their asset. It's right next door too. So this is a very prospective company. It's early stage, but there are some heavyweights behind it as well. Look at that, Crescat Capital, U.S. Global, that's Frank Holmes. Crescat is Quentin Henning, the geologist you probably know. Dundee, Red Plague, Delbrook, Gold 2000 Extract, Sprott. Sprott, it's both Eric Sprott and Sprott Holdings. So it's both him personally and the holding company that have bought into this little company. Middlefield. Retail's only 1/3 of the float on this. So this stock's in very strong hands. Okay, so if it goes down, it's just, a few weak hands in the retail side, and that's when you want to pick it up. Assay results out this month, though. So be aware of that. You might want to buy it sooner rather than later. I like it. And here's the resources. I don't know where I am on time, but I'm at thegoldadvisor.com. Everything is free on the site. It's basically my way of giving back to the community. There you can read this is our mission statement that we put on the website in green at the bottom, to provide the individual investor, like was provided to me, sound education and useful guidance on gold, the most important asset of the decade, and the stocks that mine it for maximum protection and profit for free. And it includes silver, of course, as well. But that's my mission statement. I wake up every morning with that in my mind. I'm here to help people. I got help, and I was, successful. So I want to give back, and this is the way I'm doing it. It is a sponsorship site, so be aware of that. But I will tell you that they don't get invited on the site unless it is a stock that I would clearly, personally, I'm already overweight or would go overweight. So it's only my strongest convictions that get invited to the site. And I will tell you that I say no a lot more. I get 3, 4, 5, requests for each one that I invite on the site. I also wrote a book called Pay Dirt. It's mining for profits with gold and silver stocks. It's basically a how-to book on how to pick your own stocks. I promise if you read it and you follow what's in that book, that you will have some success. You will be at 90% ahead of the investment community in the metals sector. I'm also on Twitter at The Gold Advisor. So do we have time for some Q&A? I don't know where. Somebody give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Yeah, we'll go until somebody pulls me off. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
So when you're talking about the boring boom, a lot of times the physical market disconnects, in terms of the spot price. The spot price will drop way down like it did in, March of 2020. Because, the spot price went down to $10, but you couldn't buy physical. In a situation like that, when you can't get the physical on a major dip like that, do you recommend buying an ETF as a solution?
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then if so, which of the ETFs
yeah.
do you kind of not recommend? I'm not asking for financial advice, but what are some of the ones that you think that are...
Right, I get it. What ETF would you buy if you couldn't get physical at the time? First of all, I'll say real quick, I bought physical during the COVID crash in March of 2020, and I bought it twice. So how did I do that? Because it did run out. You're absolutely right. Just like back in 2008 and 9, physical dried up, you couldn't get it. So how did I do that? I did it as it was declining hard. I did it before the public basically caught on. And I think the lowest price I got was, I think it fell to 12, I think was the bottom. I got it at 13.05 spot price. So I buy, I buy crashes. That's what I do. That's my secret. I love big dips and I cannot lie. I mean, that's kind of my theme, As far as ETFs, I personally don't own them. There's counterparty risk, as good as they are. Sprot's probably a good one. I do like Sprott, but again, there's counterparty risk. That's the only thing.
Temporary,
That's a good way to look at it, right? When I would not buy an ETF is when it looks like things are getting really bad. Because like some of the other speakers have said, what's the government going to do when things get bad? They're going to reach out and start taking things or limiting things. Now, I don't think they're going to take our gold, but...
it's more like a temporary option when you can't get the physical.
That's a good way to look at it. I agree, yeah.
That's the question I have on ETFs. Even Sprott, supposedly PSLV, the best way to invest in silver. Right? They're tied in with the Canadian government gold or silver depository. What's to prevent someone? I'm not a Canadian citizen. The Canadian government comes in now. We're going to claim that silver too. I think you're putting a lot of faith in the wrong hands buying an ETF.
That's one reason why I don't own them, because I don't trust the government. It's really simple. So I favor physical. If physical you can't get like what you want, like an Eagle or something like that, then go to another option, a bar or something like that. So, there are ways around it, but by the crash, don't wait for it to bottom and everybody else to come on. That's how I do it. Oh, okay. Yes, sir.
What would be your top 2 junior stock picks?
Oh, you're going to put me on the spot, huh? Well, one of them was in this presentation. You tell me which one it was. Somebody said Hercules, yeah. Yeah, Hercules, because they have an imminent catalyst, and that catalyst could be big, okay? The other one is probably Westward Gold. I didn't mention them, but they're on our website. I own a lot of that stock, and I think there's something brewing there. There's been other companies that appear to be showing interest. There's been a lot of insider buying. So something's going on there. I wouldn't be surprised to see some kind of major announcement from them. So I named those 2 just because they have imminent catalysts and they both could be big. So, yeah. Somebody, yeah. My perspective is when to sell, basically, is the question. My perspective is this. I want to participate in the wealth transfer. Gold and silver are money. I get it. I'm not going to say I'm going to sell it all, but I want to participate in the wealth transfer. If there is one, I'm going to transfer some of my gold and silver and 90% of the miners over to whatever the next thing is that's undervalued. Or just keep the cash, you know? I'm 60 now. Maybe I'll just retire, you know? Buy a beach house or something. So that's my answer. You know, I'm not someone who's going to say, oh, never sell. Well, why are you buying it then? You know, you have to, if it's protection, you might need to sell some for that protection. So that's my opinion for what it's worth. Oh, part two? Okay. Well, they traditionally do, but the number one indicator of what mining stocks are going to do is, anybody? The price of gold. Yeah, so I watch the price of gold. If there's a stock market crash, a true waterfall decline sell-off, right? Well, everything is going to go down, including gold. But if it's just like a bear market where stocks are weak, I think the S&P gained 11% in the entire 1970s decade, you know, not counting dividends. So that's a bear market, you know. So I follow the price of gold. I follow the price of gold. But if it's something, you know, weaker than a stock market crash, maybe gold rises. We have a recession coming, right? So hard, soft landing, all that debate, you know. Gold usually has risen historically during recessions. In fact, only twice has gold not risen during a recession, and both those declines were single digits. Every other time the gold price rose during the specific time frame of a recession. So bring it on.
So do you lean more towards gold going into this recession over silver?
Yeah, silver has not done as well during recessions, right? It's only risen, I think, twice during a recession, the specific time frame. So the opposite of gold. But again, it depends on what, it has risen some, so it depends on what's going on. It depends on the crisis, right? So I think we're all in the right place. We're in gold and silver. Just hold on to it. Keep accumulating if you don't have enough, you know. And then, you know, well, we'll see. We'll see, yeah. So, yeah.
Do you have a ratio of gold versus silver in terms of physical?
I do own more gold than silver, yeah, because it's the king of metals. It's the buck stops there, right? You know, silver might get whacked in a recession, and gold doesn't. You know, it depends on the type of crisis that we have. But I definitely want exposure to silver, absolutely, yeah, because in the next bull market, if it's a normal bull market, who knows with the type of things that are coming our way, but it usually outpaces gold by the end of it. I wish I would have kept the chart in, but it outperforms gold by the end of the bull run, so percentage-wise. Yeah, sir.
50, 50, 60, 40, 70, 30.
For what?
Gold and silver.
Oh, it's at like 80 now, but
80, 20.
okay.
The amount of gold compared to
How many ounces of gold is silver?
I'm at 50%.
You mean do I own? Yeah. Or do I? Oh, I thought you're. I'm sorry. I thought you were about the ratio.
60, 40. I own 50% gold, 50% silver.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, yeah. How old are you? Don't answer that. Don't answer that. You know, I favor gold, and right now my gold holdings are definitely worth more than my silver holdings, right? But that's okay. You know, I'm comfortable with the amount of gold I have, but I will tell you, my webmaster is like excited. He's frothing at the mouth at this gold sell-off right now. He's praying it goes to 1,800 so he's going to buy more, you know, so. Was there more? Okay, part 3. Okay, now this is the limit, all right?
Yeah, before I
Yes.
Okay, so what's your position on HBAR as an investment? I know that's way out of left field in terms of what you
Yeah, but there's crypto here too. So, well, full disclosure, some may not like this, but I sold out of all of my crypto holdings. And the reason I did is when the bank blew up. What was the name of that? I even forget.
I have the
No,
mic
not-
here.
Huh? Yes. So when that happened, and you'll remember Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank was promoting that, getting paid to promote it, and he went on TV like the next day or something, and he said that the crypto sector is probably not going to see its next big run until it's cleaned out and it's regulated. Because and yeah, right or wrong, good or bad, right? But a lot of institutions and funds are not going to come into crypto again until it's cleaned out. And there's probably still too many of these crypto names around. It probably needs cleaned out a little bit more yet. Now, that said, that's going to be the first one I buy when I come back. So, and that's, Mike Maloney still owns some of it. I will point out, that he did take profits when Bitcoin hit 60,000 a few years ago. He didn't sell everything, but he took profits. He booked it was something like 70x or something, so. I would. Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin's is going to go where they go, but I think the technology at HBAR is something that you have to look at. And the companies that are behind it, too, by the way. So, yeah. No one's pulled me off stage, so. I'm waiting for the stick with the thing that's not big enough. Okay. Mary Pat. Yeah, that's in the book, and basically it's the Lobo Tigre, my mentor, out on his own now also, basically named it the pre-production sweet spot, and it's basically, first you have a discovery, and if you make a discovery, this is when you see the biggest run in the stock, right? Huge, and then it comes back to reality, even if they continue to report good drill results, okay? And there are companies that we could name that they've pulled back, even though they're still reporting good drill results, the stock has come down, okay? So this is a really useful chart as an investor. We are investors. We are not cheerleaders. We don't work for these companies. We're not here to see a mine build, okay? It's fun to watch, but you have to judge things as an investor would, not as a company person would, okay? So when you see a big run like that, you got to take profits. You got to take profits, okay? Then it comes back down to earth, and then you begin the long, boring phase, the engineering phase, which is years long and getting longer, by the way, where the stock doesn't move all that much. But then you get to the pre-production sweet spot, which is defined as, anybody know? From construction decision to first pour. About a year and a half, stocks usually go 90% to 100% during that time frame because a new mine's coming online. It's exciting. Investors get excited, and it's just been sitting there. You got permitting and engineering and all kinds of things. You were never really sure, but now we are. They've announced they're going to build a mine. That's when you buy. First pour, you have to take profits. You must take profits. Some of you owned pure gold. How many of you owned pure gold? How many of you, well, let me ask it positively. How many of you booked a profit on pure gold? Okay, so why did I book 4x on that stock? I booked 4x on that stock. Why? I sold at first pour. Now, I took profits at first pour. I held on to some, and then it looked like it was going to have problems, so I sold the rest. So there's some very useful guidance on, you only get a couple of these a year, that's the only problem. But when you see a new mine coming online, the stock usually gets re-rated. Now, you had a part 2 question?
The first part of the stock that I got. The second part I
The first part is the discovery. So you have a stock early stage, like some of these guys here, early stage, a couple last ones I mentioned. If they make a discovery, it could potentially go like that. Yeah, that's the discovery. Yeah. Yes, sir. I don't, because it's 90% of platinum and palladium are used in industry. There's my industry. So, I do think a recession's coming. So I'd rather wait to buy them when we get to the worst part of the recession. They're not monetary metals usually. Investment demand there is like 2, 3, 4, 5%. So one more. Okay. Yes, sir. Okay.
I don't trust the banks to see that's the lock system, and obviously storing it at home or in your office somewhere else is very risky. I've looked at some of these vaulting companies and what they can charge for a yearly or monthly storage fees kind of ridiculous. So if anything you recommend,
What was the percent you said they charged? It should be around 5.5, 0.7.
I guess they were trying to charge a percentage of what you're actually storing versus something.
It usually goes by metal value. The reason it goes by metal value is because their insurance bill is going to go up. So if gold goes to 3,000, or what would be a double from here, 3,800 or whatever, their insurance bill is going to go up big. So they have to charge, by value as opposed to just the number of ounces. But yeah, I use them. I like how I'm diversified. I have some within my immediate grasp. I don't have any in the banking system. I use Mike Maloney's gold silver program, his InstaVault program. That's a great way to accumulate, by the way. Yeah, and then I also store offshore as well. So, and if anybody wants to know where, you can ask me. So. Are you pulling me off? Yeah, I'm happy to stick around if anybody. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
A while, I think it was last year on goldsilver.com, like Commodities were saying that if you're comparing real estate, how many ounces of silver versus single-family home?
Oh, yeah. That was my research. Yeah. I should probably republish that. The reason I haven't is because it hasn't changed all that much. The ratio, how many ounces it takes to buy, for silver. Oh, the low was like, the ultimate low was 1,400 ounces of silver to buy the average priced home in the U.S. Yeah. So we'll see if we get back there. But hey, you only need 2,000-3,000 ounces of silver, and if this plays out like a lot of us think it will, beach house.
One more question, actually.
Okay.
I don't know if you traveled Nevada a bunch, but between here and Reno, if you drive up, you talk to locals, Anglo-Gold, Ashanti's kind of buying up everything, gold mining that they can in the area. But I also keep on hearing about lithium. They say there's lithium around.
Yeah, BlackRock Silver made a lithium discovery. They farmed that out to Tierlac.
Yeah, they say that there's big lithium in the middle of Nevada.
Yeah.
Northwestern Nevada now.
Yeah. Yes.
Probably a reason why Elon Musk built the battery factory in
Yes. Yeah. You might want to stay tuned to thegoldadvisor.com on that topic. Yeah. Okay. I think I'm being pulled off. Thank you, everybody. I hope it was useful. Oh.